Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and today we're looking at the HP Envy Spectre XT Ultrabook. This is the latest Ultrabook from HP. Unlike the Spectre, no Gorilla Glass covering everything, making it more practical, lighter, and also more affordable. This guy is $9.99. You get metal construction, very nice brushed aluminum here, distinctive wedge-shaped back on it. They're not copying the Mac anymore, and a lot of good stuff inside. We're going to take a look at it now. So here it is, the HP Envy Spectre XT. Took a while to get a hold of one of these. I know some of you have been asking us to do a review of this, and though HP actually offered it up for order at the end of June, for some reason their production seems to be very limited. If you go to their website and try to order one, you'll notice that it takes about a month from order date to when you'll receive it, according to HP. Pretty strange. I mean, you know, there's nothing too unusual about this Ultrabook. If they can make a completely glass-covered Spectre, you wonder what's taking so long here. At any rate, some stores might start stocking them soon. They're here in some capacity. And it's a nice-looking machine. For $9.99, you get the usual Ultrabook internals. You get a Core i5, 1.7 gigahertz, 3317U ULV CPU. That's Ivy Bridge, third generation. HP has been mixing second and third generation on some of their other new Envy models, so happily this one only comes with third generation, latest greatest. Has Intel HD 4000 graphics, 13.3-inch display. Nice looking casing. You can see here that this is brushed aluminum, and you've even got the striations of aluminum. It's a good looking laptop in person. HP logo right there. Typical of their new Envy Sleekbook line. It has unusual lines, shall we say. Instead of making the two halves kind of married together without a hint of a seam, they're almost making it more apparent intentionally. I love the metal here. Right along the edge there's a beveled chrome piece that really gives it an interesting look, kind of very American looking notebook, if there's such a thing. And on the side you can see, again, the separation is highlighted, and that's because we have a display here. You can see that this bevel actually pops out. It's not just a flat piece, and there's a little rubber gasket around here, sort of like a diving mask, which does well to protect the display as it hits over here, and well, it gives it that interesting look. Distinctive on the back is this kind of beveled rear plate that we have, so it's not just your usual lozenge-shaped notebook or a MacBook Pro or Air kind of clone. And this section sticks out more. We've seen this in some of the DV line HPs before. These are the actual hinge pieces over here. Sturdy and stiff. Not too worried about that hinge. And again, you can see the curves, the complex lines, the shiny bit of chrome over here meeting the metal sides. We've got ports on both sides. Right here, that's where we plug in our power adapter. Compact 65-watt AC adapter comes with it. USB 2.0 port with charging, sleep and charge capability, your SD card slot. Combo mic headphone jack, and there's your power indicator right there. On the front, nothing but the cutout to make it a little bit easier to open it up, and so that the edge doesn't grind into your wrist too much when you're using the trackpad. This side we have our USB 3.0 port, not color-coded in blue. Kind of wish that they would do that, but they didn't. Lock slot, full-size HDMI port, and here we have gigabit Ethernet. That's right, that's pretty nice. On a lot of Ultrabooks, as you know, you don't get any Ethernet. Maybe you get a USB Ethernet adapter, or you get 10100. This is full gigabit Realtek Ethernet. The bottom is soft touch plastic, not metal. I have no complaints with that because it feels really nice to touch. It's fairly grippy. It doesn't get as hot. If you're doing something like playing Batman Arkham City, which we're going to show you this notebook doing, it'll get warm on the bottom. You probably don't want to keep it on your lap for a super long time, but nothing alarmingly hot. Plenty of air vents here. Here and here you see speakers. This has a total of 4 speakers. There are another 2 along a grill right under the display area. This has Beats audio. There is no Beats rotary control wheel, not that fancy, but certainly very loud audio and reasonably full for a 13-inch notebook. Rubber feet raised up here, little chrome rings around them for a nice looking touch, and we have just standard Phillips head screws securing the bottom, and we'll slide in a slide for you so you can see what the internals are like, but basically, standard Ultrabook stuff. The bottom section here is all taken up with a big battery pack, and then we have our motherboard here and lots of daughter boards. We have a separate one for the wireless card that's removable. The SSD drive is mSATA, so yeah, you can actually find those if you're looking. Not as easy to find as a standard regular 2.5-inch hard drive, but if you're looking to upgrade in the future, it's possible. RAM is soldered on the motherboard with this guy. And we open it up and take a look inside. You can see we have a gloss display here. Standard 1366 by 768 resolution, so nothing fancy there. In general, that's one thing I would say about the Spectre XT. Pretty much everything is nothing all that special or groundbreaking here. Overall, it's a very solid, nice, fast-performing Ultrabook, but it doesn't have any feature that's going to say, wow, really puts ahead of everything else, like, say, the ZenBook Prime's 1080p display or the unusual widescreen on the Toshiba Satellite U845W. Though the display is glossy, it hasn't bothered me too much with reflections. It gets fairly bright, certainly brighter than the HP Folio 13, which was one dim display. Also, viewing angles for a TN panel are very good. It's not IPS, we're not talking that wide, but you don't have to fight with a really narrow sweet spot by tilting it forward and back. You've got a pretty good amount of leeway here and pretty good side viewing angles as well. Nice and colorful. HP includes this wallpaper here and a couple of other very colorful wallpapers, including a really cool just one that's a Spectre XT. Inside we've got pretty good wireless components. We have Intel Bluetooth 4.0 and we have Intel Advanced Centrino N6235. That's a good dual band Wi-Fi card built in. And we have Intel WiDi. And you can see we also have our Realtek Gigabit Ethernet adapter on board as well. Machines available with a 128 or 256 gig SSD drive. Ours was made by Samsung, benchmarked very quickly. In fact, overall the machine benchmarked very well. For a Core i5, we scored over 11,000 on PC Mark Vantage, which is pretty darn good. And for a machine with Intel HD 4000 integrated graphics, it did very well on 3D Mark Vantage. It scored 3316, which puts it near the top among Ultrabooks. And that inspired us to go ahead and test some games. And like I said, we're going to show you Batman Arkham City playing on this now. And we're going to run it at standard 1366 by 768 resolution using the defaults that I picked, which means anti-aliasing off. Most effects turned off. A couple of them are turned on. And we'll see how well it does.
You cat.
Alright, so now we're in Batman Arkham City on this Ultrabook. Since it did so well in benchmarks, we thought it was worth a try. And you can see the frame rate's just fine at 1366 by 768, which is native resolution. Those Beats speakers are quite loud. We have our system volume only at 50% and music volumes at 50%. It's doing great. Anti-aliasing is turned off. Most effects are turned off. But still, it looks great. And it plays fine. Cutscenes are at 60 frames per second. You can see here we're managing 30s, low 30s to 30 inside gameplay, which is adequate for this kind of game. And you can see our Windows Experience Index here. The scores are also pretty much in line with what you'd like to see from a faster Ultrabook. Again, this is the Core i5 model. We've got 6.9 for our CPU, 5.9 for memory. Not too impressive there, but alright. We have 6.4 for Aero graphics, 6.4 for gaming 3D graphics, and 7.9, which is the highest score possible currently, for disk transfer speed since it has a fast SSD inside. So overall, good performance, good use of components here, top-notch stuff inside. Up top here we have our 720p webcam and a built-in mic. You can also use a wired headset if you prefer when you're chatting with your friends on Skype, and Skype isn't pre-installed. Not too much bloatware here. We have Skype pre-installed, Microsoft Silverlight, Adobe Flash, HP's update and management utilities. Overall, not too much bloatware for an HP product. And as we take a look at the keyboard and trackpad, HP has made some of the worst trackpads that I've ever used in the last couple of years, and they're finally starting to turn things around. This is actually a very usable trackpad. I like the way it dishes down, so there's no way your finger's going to wander off and you're not going to have a clue that you've accidentally wandered off the trackpad. The usual buttonless design, it does click if you press on it, but single clicks work, double clicks work, no weird behavior, no momentum scrolling, nothing like that. Really a pleasure to use compared to my HP Envy 15-inch machine. You can also disable the trackpad. A little light will glow right here, the light of amber, so you know, so you don't think your trackpad's broken. And you can control that up here. We have a row of FN keys up here, and by default those are set to control multimedia and other things, so you can control your brightness, your volume, turn the keyboard backlight on off. We have keyboard backlighting here. And control your wireless radios, and there's a little LED that glows to indicate when your wireless is turned on. Overall, a very nice chiclet keyboard, every bit as good as the Folio, which had one of the nicer Ultrabook keyboards. The Folio, the Dell XPS 13, and the new Lenovo ThinkPad X1 Carbon have the best keyboards if you're looking to do a lot of typing on an Ultrabook. This is a soft touch kind of keyboard, but there's a reasonably good amount of travel, nice tactile feedback, not noisy or anything like that. And the backlighting, well, it works very well. It does illuminate from around the edges of the keys as well, but not in an ugly, glaring kind of way. And we'll show you what that backlight looks like in a dark room in just a moment. And here we are, obviously in a dark room, and we've got the backlight turned on the keyboard so you can see how it looks. The letters illuminate, and you get a little soft ring around each key. Power button's also illuminated. Machine weighs 3.07 pounds, so call it 3 pounds. That's pretty much typical for 13.3-inch Ultrabooks that aren't stretching the definition and getting bigger like 14-inch models and so on. 0.69 inches thick at its thickest point, and down to about 0.57 inches at its thinnest point, since there's a little bit of a taper, so very slim too. Other bundled software includes 2 years of Norton Internet security, not your usual 30-day trial. That's pretty cool. And there's absolute data protect tools for those of you who worry about protecting your data security-wise. There is no fingerprint scanner on this model, however. If you want to go up to the Core i7, the usual Core i7 1.9 gigahertz that we see as 3517U, if I remember correctly, that'll cost you $125 more. Not much of an upcharge there. Or you can go up to a 2.0 gigahertz Intel Core i7 ULV CPU with vPro. That competes with other business-oriented Ultrabooks where vPro is more important for remote management purposes, and that one would add $250. So you're looking at about $1150 if you want to get a Core i7, and you're looking at $1250 if you want that vPro feature with your Core i7. We're still doing battery life tests on the Spectre XT. So far it seems typical of Ultrabooks, which is to say, it looks like we're going to get about 5.5 hours or so with brightness set to 50%. Since this is a pretty bright display, 50% is not suffering in the least bit. The fan is generally very quiet when it does come on. It's not one of those hummy, whiny, you want to kill it kind of fans. It's pretty low key. If you're playing games, you will hear it kick on, but it's not a vacuum cleaner by any means. And most Ultrabooks are not, given that ULV CPUs are ultra low voltage, and that means they generate less heat. The Beats audio on this is really pretty impressively loud stuff. We have this nice grill over here, so we've got speaker coming on each side, and as I mentioned, there are speakers on the bottom, so you've got 4 speakers total, and right now we have volume set to 50%, and you'll hear when we play some games just how loud that is, but we'll check out a YouTube video to see how that goes. And we'll check out our video review of the Toshiba Satellite U845. I'll bring it up to 720p and full screen.
This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and the Ultrabook Rampage continues. This time we have the Toshiba Satellite
You can see an on-screen indicator for volume.
U845W wide-body that we reviewed a week or two ago.
You can get obnoxiously loud with this. And obviously it can play video quite well, and it's a nice screen too. So that's the HP Envy Spectre XT, part of the both Envy line and the new HP Ultrabook Sleekbook line. And this is kind of the top of the line for the new Sleekbook. We've got the 4 and the 6 model. More in the spirit of the Envy line, because you've got the entire metal casing here, the nice backlit keyboard, some of those creature comforts, late model CPUs, that kind of thing. What sets the HP apart from all the other Ultrabooks on the market? Now, you know, there's an awful lot of Ultrabooks out there, and again, to be just like regular laptop computers, there are a lot of laptops out there with competing specs that are very similar. It's starting to happen with Ultrabooks too. So the HP, if you're an HP person, if you like their software, if you like their brand, if you like their build quality, which granted has been going up and down, but it seems to be improving. Everything was put together properly on this model. Well, then that might lean you towards the HP. The casing, the metal design is very nice. It's very visually pleasing. It's nice that they use a standard mSATA drive if you want to upgrade the SSD. But unfortunately, the memory is not upgradable, unlike the regular Spectre model. In terms of design appeal, portability, really good looking, nicely well put together, competes well with the Dell XPS 13. I think that's a company that HP is certainly going after. And the keyboard is also excellent. So for those who actually need to get work done and do a lot of typing, certainly a strong selling point there. More tactile feel than, say, the Toshiba Z935, the Portagee model. Holistically speaking, you know, it's a funny thing. I cracked open the box, I took a look at it, and then I booted up and I started using it, and I found it was really very pleasant and very enjoyable. There's some laptops that just all the components work well together, the design feels right, the display is good on it, just make you feel like, well, yeah, I could definitely live with this thing, and the HP does fulfill that. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to visit our website to read the full review of the HP Envy Spectre XT and subscribe to our YouTube channel.